Hi guys, I'm back with another video today. So today's video is going to be Art Forms Iceberg Explained. Now this will be my third Iceberg Explained video I've done on my channel. My first one was the game show Iceberg Explained. Now, that one was the longest one I had to do. It took a lot of research and it took a long time to do. I got that done pretty quickly because I worked on multiple tiers at a time because, you know, I was still in school still when I was doing it. My second tier list was NASCAR Iceberg Explained, which that one was personally made by me, which that one was a really short Iceberg Explained video. Now this will be my third Iceberg Explained. This Iceberg was made by Reddit user 7373737373. I don't know if I got his name right, but all I remember is there was a lot of 7373s. So, yeah, I would like to shout out that Reddit user who made the Art Forms Iceberg Explained. Now, this one, I took a couple days on research because I'm technically not in school anymore. I'm on summer break, so I have a lot more time on my hands to do this, so I took my times. But the research for this didn't take as long as the Iceberg Explained for my game show Iceberg Explained. Now, I took like about 7 days out of the week to do the research for this because I had a lot more times on this. So, you know, I didn't have a lot of information to look up, but this is technically the second shortest Iceberg Explained I'm doing on my channel. But either way, the game show Iceberg Explained was the longest for researched information. But I've been talking about long enough about that. Let's get into the Art Forms Iceberg Explained. Surface level drawing. A picture of a diagram made with pencil or pen or crayon rather than paint. There are several types of drawings. Line drawings. A drawing done with only narrow lines, the variation of which in width and density produce such effects as tone and shading, doodling, scribbling, cartoon drawing, an illustration of non-realistic drawing of satire, caricature, or humor made by a cartoonist or animator. Pointillism. I don't know how to say that. A technique of neo-impressionist painting using tiny dots of various colors, which became blended in the viewer's eye. It was developed by Georges Seurat with the aim of producing a greater degree of luminosity and a brilliance of color. Photorealism / hyperrealism. A style of art and sculpture characterized by the highly detailed depiction of ordinary life with impersonality of a photograph. Architecture, the art or practice of design and construction buildings. Anamorphic, denoting or relating to a distorted projection or drawing that appears normal when viewed from a particular point or with a suitable mirror or lens. Fashion illustration. Fashion designers sketch ideas for clothing they want to make. Then they actually show their actual design from the drawing. Photography. recording light, music, vocal or instrumental sounds, or both, combined in such way as to produce a beauty of form, harmony, or expression of motion. There are many genres of music. There's country, rock, and other music, etc. Cooking, the practice or skill of preparing food by combining or mixing and heating ingredients. Shallow waters. Painting, the process or art of using paint in a picture as protective coating or a decoration. There are several types of paintings. Realism, the movement or style of representing familiar things as they actually are. Painterly, of a painting or its style, characterized by qualities of color, stroke, and texture rather than of a line. Impressionism, a style or movement in painting or originating in France in the 1860s, characterized by a concern with depicting the visual impression of the movement, especially in terms of shifting effect of color and light. Expressionism, a style of painting, music, or drama in which the artist or writer seeks to express emotional experience rather than impressions of external world. Abstraction, freedom from a representation qualities in art. Abstract, relating to abstract art. Fiction, writing, a literature in a form of prose that describes imaginary events and people. Dance. There are many different types of dance styles. Ballet, jazz dancing, tap dance, hip-hop dance, modern dance, swing dancing, contra dance, country and western, belly dancing, flamenco, Latin dance, folk dance. Storytelling, the activity of telling or writing stories. Animation, the technique of photographing successive drawings or positions of puppets or models to create an illusion of movement when the movie is shown as a sequence. Digital design. Put it simply, any kind of design that appears in a digital format on an app or website rather than in print on a physical page is considered digital design. On Quora, user Ritika Gore gives a concise digital design definition. Digital design refers to what is created and produced for viewing on screen. Costumes, a set of clothes in a style typical of a particular country or historical period. Depths, filmmaking, the direction or production of movie for the theater or television. Ceramics, pots and other articles made from clay hardened by heat. Drama writing, a piece of writing that tells a story and is a performance on stage, a play, movie, television show, or radio show that is about a serious subject and is not meant to make the audience laugh. The art or activity of performing a role in a play, show, etc. Theater, a building or outdoor area in which a play or other dramatic performances are given. Comics, a comedian, especially a professional one. Number 2, comic strips. Confectionery, a shop that sells candy. Game design, in a broadcast sense, a game design refers to the idea behind a game, but it comes to mean a whole lot more than that. It's a large, immersive games. Game designs refer to the central theme or point, as well as the story and plot and characters' backstories. Pixel art. Pixel art is a form of digital art wherein an image are created and edited at the pixel level using graphic editing software. What defines pixel art is its unique visual style where individual pixels serve as the building blocks that make up the image. Martial arts. Areas, sports, or skills mainly of Japanese origin. That originate as forms of self-defense or attack, such as judo, karate, and kondo. There are a couple different forms of martial arts. Judo, a sport of unarmed combat derived from jiu-jitsu and intended to train the body and mind. It involves using holds and leverages to unbalance the opponent. Jiu-jitsu, a Japanese system of unarmed combat and physical training compared to judo. Karate, an Asian system of unarmed combat using the hands and feet to deliver blocks and blows. Widely practiced as a sport, it's formalized in Okinawa in the 17th century and popularized via Japan after about 1920. Karate is performed barefoot in a loose padding clothing with a colored belt indicating the level of skill, and it involves a mental as well as physical training. Kendo, a Japanese form of fencing with two-hand bamboo swords, originally developed as a safe form of sword training for samurais. Poster, mailing service in the United States. Industrial design. The Industrial Design Act defines design or industrial design to mean features of shape, configuration, pattern, or ornament, and any combination of those features that in a finished article appeal to and are judged solely by the eye. The design must also be original. In 2012, the Patent Appeal Board rejected a design for a trash can and gave guidance as what the act requires. The degree of originally required by the register in an original design greater than laid down by the Canadian copyright legislation, but less than required to register a patent. The articles being compared should not be examined side by side, but separate, so the imperfect recollection comes into play. One is looked at design as a whole. Fathoms, sculpting, create or represent something by carving, casting, or other shape techniques. Poetry, literary work in which special intensity is given to expression or of feelings and ideas by the using distinctive style and rhythm. Poems collectively or as a genre of literature. Jewelry, personal ornaments such as necklace, rings, or bracelets that are typically made from or contain jewels of precious material, metal. Fashion, a popular trend, especially in styles of dress and ornament or manners of behavior. Printmaking, the activity or occupation of making pictures or design by printing them from specifically prepared plates or blocks. They put whoever made the Reddit user 737373 put architecture on again, so I'm not going to read it again, but it was definitely at the beginning. Communication design is a mixed discipline between design and information development, which is concerned with how media intervention such as print, craft, electronic media, or presentations communicate with people. A communication design approach is not only concerned with developing the message aside from the aesthetics in media, but also creating a new media channels to ensure the message reaches the target audience. Some designers use graphic design and communication design interchangeably due to overlapping skills. manga, a style of Japanese comic books and graphic novels typically aimed at adults as well as children, compared with anime. Environmental design is the process of addressing surrounding environment perimeters with the device, plan, programs, and policies of buildings or products. It seeks to create space that will enhance the nature, social, culture, and physical environment of particular areas. Classical prudent design may have always considered environmental factors. However, the environmental movement beginning in the 1940s has made the conception more explicit. Interaction design. The thinking like a philosopher, the role of an interaction designer is more like that philosopher, and what they do too keeps lots of questions in mind when creating. Defines design strategy. Interaction designs define the design strategy before its development according to the goals agreed for product or service. Origami. The Japanese art of folding paper into directive shapes and figures. Abyss. Conceptual art. An art in which the idea or concept presented by the artist is considered more important than appearance or execution. Installation art is an artistic drawing of three-dimensional works that are often site-specific and designed to transform the perception of space. Generally, the term is applied to inner spaces, whereas exterior innovations are often called public art. Land art or art inversion, however, the boundaries between these terms overlap. Landscape design is an independent profession and design art tradition practiced by landscape designers, combining nature and culture in the contemporary practice. Landscape design bridges the space between landscape architecture and garden design. Calligraphy, directive handwriting or handwriting lettering. I don't know why that's so low, because I know with it, because I kind of learned calligraphy a little bit in my 9th grade art class because we had to do a project on it. I don't know why that's so low, but it is. Typography, the style and appearance of print matter. Caricature, a picture, description, or imitation of person in which certain striking characteristics are exaggerated in order to create a comic or grotesque effect. Kurigami, I'm sorry, I'm not good with Japanese names, is a variation of origami that includes cutting of paper rather than solely folding the paper, as it is the case with origami, but typically does not use glue. Graffiti, writing or drawing, scribble, scratching, or spraying insightly on a wall or other surface in a public place. Light art is a visual form in which light is main medium of expression. It is an art form in which either a sculpture produces light or light is used to create a sculpture through the manipulation of light, colors, and shadows. These sculptures can be temporary or permanent and can exist in two distinctive spaces: indoor galleries such as museum exhibits or outdoors at events like festivals. Light art can be interaction of light within the architecture space. Light art artists are those that devote all their creative explanation to light art. Some artists experience with light and neon signage and use light in their practice. Murals. a painting or other work of art executed directly on a wall. Demo scene is an international computer art subculture focused on producing demos, self-contained, sometimes extremely small computer programs that produce audio-visual presentations. The purpose of the demo is to show off programming, visual art, and musical skills. Demos and other demo scene productions, graphic, music, videos, games are shared at festivals known as demo parties, voted on by those who attend and release online. Book illustration. The illustration of manuscript books was well established in ancient times, and the tradition of illuminated manuscript thrived in the West until invention of printing. Other parts of the world had comparable traditions, such as Persian miniature. Modern book illustration comes from the 15th century woodcut illustrations that were fairly rapidly included in early printed books. Later, blocks, books, other techniques such as engravings, etchings, and lithography, and various kinds of color printing were to expand the possibilities and were exploited by such masters as Demure, Dor, and Gardner. Book illustration masters were Demure was a French painter, sculptor, and printmaker who many works often contemporary on the social and political life in France. From the Revolution of 1830 to the fall of the Second Napoleonic Empire in 1870, he earned a living through most of life producing caricatures and cartoons of political figures and satirizing the behavior of a countryman in newspapers and periodicals, for which he became well known in his lifetime and is still known today. He was a Republican Democrat who attacked burgesses, the church, lawyers, and judiciary, politicians, and monarchy. He was jailed several months in 1832 after the publication of Gargantua, a particularly offensive and discourteous depiction of King Louis Philippe. Demure was also a serious painter and loosely associated with realism. Demure produced his social caricatures for Lee Shire, in which he held bourgeois and society to ridicule on the figure of Robert McClare, hero of popular melodrama. In another series, La Historia H.A., he took an aim to constructing Picito classicism of the art of period. In 1848, Demure embarked again on his political campaign, still in service of Lee Shire, which he left in 1863 and rejoined in 1864. Around the mid-1840s, Demure started publishing his famous caricatures depicting members of legal profession known as les gens de justice in general. A number of extremely rare albums appeared on white paper covering 39 different legal themes, of which 37 had previously been published in the Charvry. It has been said that Demure's own experience as an employee in a bailiff's office during his youth may have influenced his rather negative attitude towards the legal profession. In 1834, he produced the lithograph Rue Trasnonain, 15th April 1834, depicting the massacre in Rue Trasinaine, which was part of the April 1834 riots in Paris. It was designed the subscription public La Sociale Association Nationale. The profits were promoted freedom of press and defray legal costs of a lawsuit against a strategical, politically progressive journal, Le Travail, to which Demura contributed regularly. The police discovered the printing hanging in the window. Printer seller Ernest G. Aubert in the Galerie Vero Daudat passed away in the first arrondissement, and subsequently tracked down and confiscated as many of prints they could find, along with the original lithograph stone on which the image was drawn. Assisting prints of Rue Trasinaine are survivors of this effort. Dor was a French artist, printmaker, illustrator, comic artist, caricaturist, and sculptor who worked primarily with wood engraving. Gavernay, a French illustrator born in Paris. Among his illustrated works, Les Loretta's, Les Actrices, and Les Calesis, Les Fashionables, Les Gentilshommes, Burgeis, Les Artistes, Les Dors, Clancy, Les Etiennes de Paris, Les Balvernies, Pernices, Les Plairs, Champrais, Les Bals, Le Carnaval, Les Cernavets du Carnaval, Les Souvenirs du Balchard, Les Belges Homes, and Patriots de Paris. He had known ceased the direct of Les Jeans du Monde, but he engaged as an ordinary caricaturist of Le Travail, and while making the fortune of the paper, he made his own. His name was exceedingly popular, and his illustration of books were eagerly sought for publishers. Les Juifs Errant by Eugene Sue, 1843, 4 to 8 volumes. The French translation of Hoffman Tales, 1843, 8 volumes. The first collective edition of Balzac's works, Paris, Houssac, 1850, 20 volumes to 8 volumes. Le Dibble, Paris, 1844 to 1846, 2 volumes to 4. 5, Les Francaise Paint per Mames, 1840 to 1843, 8 to 9 volumes. The collection of philosophy published by Hubert in 38 volumes in 18 months, 1840 to 1842, own a great part of their success at the time, and are still sought for an account of the clever and telling sketches contributed by Gavernay. Okay, enough of that. I think you're tired of me hearing me doing French words that are hard to say. College, an education institution or establishment, in particular one providing higher education or specialized professional or vocational training. University, an education institution designed for instruction, examination, or both of students in many branches of advanced learning, conferring degrees in various facilities, and often embodying colleges and similar institutions. There are more than 5,300 colleges and universities in the United States. Below the abyss. Performance art, an art form that combines visual art with dramatic performance. Tapestry, a piece of thick textile fabric with pictures or designs formed by weaving colored weft threads or by boarding or canvas used as a wall hanging or furniture covering. Glass art refers to an individual work of art that are substantially or wholly made of glass. Its range sees from monumental works and installation pieces, the wall hangings and windows, to works of art made in studios and factories, including glass, jewelry, and tableware. Excuse me, I burped. Mosaic, a picture or pattern produced by arranging together small colors, pieces of hard material such as stone, tile, or glass. Sand art is the practice of modeling sand into an artistic form such as sand brushing, sand sculpture, sand painting, or sand bottles. I've made a couple sand bottles. They're really cool to make. A sandcastle is a type of sand sculpture resembling a miniature building, often castle. Drip castle variation uses wet sand that is dribbled down to form organic shapes before the sand dries. Body art. Items of jewelry or clothing worn on the body regarded as art. The practice of decorating the body means tattooing, piercing, plastic surgery, etc. Vegetable fruit carving is the carving of vegetables to form beautiful objects such as flowers or birds. That's the same thing with fruit carving. I think that's kind of a little bit weird, but you know, people have different types of art styles, so I'm not going to complain about it. Below the abyss. Manuscript illumination is a manuscript in which text is supplemented with such decoration, initial borders, marginalia, and miniature illustrations. And strictest definitions of terms refers only to manuscripts decorated with either gold or silver, but common uses as modern scholarship. The terms refers to any decorated or illustrated manuscript from Western traditions. Comparable Far East and Mesoamerican works are described as painted. Islamic manuscripts may be referred as illuminated, illustrated, or painted through using essential same technologies as Western works. Chainsaw carving. The art of chainsaw carving is a fast-growing form of art that combines the modern technology of chainsaw with an ancient art of wood carving. Ice sculpture is a form of sculpture that is using ice as raw material. Sculptures from ice can be abstract or realistic and can functional or pretty decorative. Ice sculptures are generally associated with special or extravagance because of their limited lifetime. Sand medallia is a Tibetan Buddhist tradition involving the creation and destruction of medallias made from colored sand. A sand medallia is ritually dismantled once it has been complete, and its accompanying ceremonies and viewings are finished to symbolize the Buddhist doctrinal belief in the transitory nature of material life. Asmatic writing is a wordless, open, Semitic form of writing. The word asmatic means having no specific Semitic content or without the smallest unit of meaning. With the non-specificity of asmatic writing, there comes a vacuum of meaning which is left for the reader to fill and interpret. All of this is similar to the way we would deduce meaning from abstract work or art, where Iceberg writing distinguishes itself among traditions of abstract art is in an asthmatic author's use of general constraint and traditional or physical characteristics of writing, such as lines, symbols, and asthmatic writing is a hybrid art form that fuses text and images into unity and sets it free to arbitrary subject interpretations that may compare to free writing or writing forms take its own. Instead of writing produced for context, the open nature of asthmatic works allows forms to occur across linguistic understanding, and asthmatic text may be read in a similar fashion regardless of the reader's national language. Multiple meanings for the symbolism are another possibility for asthmatic art. That is, asthmatic writing could be polysemitic or have zero meaning, infinite meanings, or it means can evolve over time. Asthmatic works leaves for the reader to decide how to translate and explore asthmatic text in this sense or suitable mirrors or lens. Anamorphosis, a distorted projection or drawing which appears normal when viewed from a particular point in suitable mirror lenses. Artist's books are works of art that utilize the form of a book. They are often published in small editions, though they are sometimes produced as one-of-a-kind objects. Haptic poetry. Like visual poetry, sound poetry is a liminal art form combining characteristics of typography and sculpture to create sub-objects not only to be seen but to touch and manipulate. Indeed, haptic poetry, the sense of touch, and to a lesser extent, the other senses equals, if not more than, the senses of sight, yet both text-based poetry and haptic poetry having the same goals to create aesthetic effects in the minds of the intended audience. The last one I had trouble coming up with a name for the last tier, but for the last tier I just came up with weird because they're kind of weird. Cardboard machines, just selling the machine online. Yeah, I can't really find much information about cardboard machines. That is probably the most information of anything I've read off of this art forms Iceberg explained. The last one I think is probably the weirdest out of all of them. Butter sculptures. Are sculptures carved in butter? The works often depict animals, people, buildings, or other objects. They are best known as attractions at state fairs in the United States as life-size cows and people, but can also be found as banquet tables and even small decorative butter pots. Butter carving was an ancient craft in Tibet, Babylon, Roman Britain, and elsewhere. The earliest documented butter sculpture dated from Europe in 1536, where they were used banquet tables. The earliest piece in modern sense as a public art date from Cetra 1870s America, created by Caroline Shock Brooks, a farm woman from Helena, Arkansas. The heyday of butter sculpting was about 1890 to 1930, but butter sculptures are still popular attraction as agriculture fairs, banquet tables, and as decorative butter patties. Okay. So that was my art forms Iceberg explained. I hope you guys liked this video, and if you guys like this video, please like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace, period.